All right, if you want to count out 7 rounds, we'll load it up, we'll go from 7.
Okay. Under Australia's importation laws, this shouldn't be happening.
That's the 6 magical one, 7. All right, okay, reloaded, you want to take a step back?
All right.
Here we go, you ready? That's it, we're all clear.
So that was 7 cartridges, the original design?
Yep, that was 7 in the magazine, but none in the chamber. So as it was originally designed coming out of the factory, it was the original delivered
Adelaide gunsmith Nick Halliwell's firing the Adler lever-action shotgun. It's been modified to get around the suspension of the importation of the 7 or 8 shot Adler.
That was straight 7 shots in about 10 to 12 seconds, so it's not as rapid as you might expect.
No. The gun has infuriated Australia's gun control lobby, which believes it's an attempt to undermine the 1996 National Firearms Agreement reached following the Port Arthur massacre.
They are a military type of gun and they have no place in a civilian society. John Howard moved Australia towards having shotguns with a maximum of 2 cartridges at a time. That's the safest position for Australia. We don't need people really setting themselves up as Rambo in the suburbs with weapons like this.
That is one of the most ridiculous comments I've ever heard. It is not a military type firearm, it is what the Americans would call a sporting firearm. Most of the people, I assume, who would have bought it in Australia would have bought it for pig hunting.
It can fire 8 shots in as many seconds, using a firing mechanism straight from the Wild West. 2 weeks after we aired this story last year, then Prime Minister Tony Abbott announced he was banning the importation of the gun due to its high magazine capacity.
So the traditional lever-action shotgun.
It was a small inconvenience for the gun's importer, Robert Nyer. He quickly imported thousands of Adlers with a 5-shot capacity that is easily modifiable to take more rounds.
Hey, good morning, how you doing?
Good.
Come in.
Thank you. Nick Halliwell runs a gun modification workshop in the Adelaide suburbs.
I've spent 20 years in the trade as a precision machinist, running in and out, working for several large companies. I've also worked for the military as well, doing a support armoured corps role in that. I used to gunsmith for other people professionally and decided to break away and start my own company.
He's an industry expert being consulted by the State Police Minister regarding changes to firearms regulations. He's also one of the few people in Australia able and willing to legally modify the Adler 5-shot gun to an 8 or 11-shot firearm. His decision has attracted controversy, and this is the first time he's spoken publicly. So this is the magazine, the stock standard magazine?
Yep, that's the standard tubular magazine underneath. What basically happens with these is, this is currently a 5-shot capacity, and to pull them apart, give them a bit of a wiggle just lightly, and we just keep pulling, and then it comes out. And with an extension piece on, they're going to sit roughly about there. So it's going to extend it by about two extra shells.
Modifying the gun takes Nick Halliwell about 10 minutes. This piece of tubing allows the gun to fire an extra 2 shells before reloading and turns it into the banned gun. It's so easy, he also emails 3-page do-it-yourself guides to people who know their guns.
Hey folks, just wanted to do a follow-up video. This has gone into full tactical spec now.
For months, owners of the Adler have been talking about modifications.
It would be really nice if they'd allow us to get the 8-shot magazine. I believe there's some companies already doing extension tubes for them.
While the federal government has temporarily banned importation of the 7-round Adler, most states have no restriction on how many rounds you can have in a lever-action shotgun. Which means when Nick Halliwell modifies the 5-round Adler, it's perfectly legal.
But all I'm doing is using state and territory laws quite openly, and it's quite clearly stated in the law that we're allowed to do this. It's quite permitted.
But his work's still controversial given the import ban. It's come to the attention of police in other states and politicians opposed to the gun.
The intent of the 12-month ban was very clear. We now understand that there are people working around that by engaging in modifications of magazines to allow for more shots than is currently covered in the import ban, and we would like to see a lot of these loopholes cleared up, tightened up.
But Australia's most powerful pro-gun political party, the Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party, disagrees.
If it's legal in South Australia and he's not prosecuted, I can say to you that it doesn't really matter from a public safety point of view how many rounds they can change the magazine over.
I'm sorry about that, but there is no other way. There is no other way.
In the wake of Martin Bryant's murderous rampage, John Howard convinced all Australian states to enact identical legislation which tightened gun ownership controls and restricted access to some rapid-fire guns. Gun Control Australia says that Adler threatens that hard-won accord.
It's a breach of the spirit of the 1996 Port Arthur round of gun laws that came in following the massacre, and it needs to be banned in Australia.
This idea that it's contrary to the spirit of the 96 agreement, what do you say to that?
So what? Who cares? We don't want the 96 agreement. The 96 agreement, as I've just said, was a piece of garbage. It should be torn up. The states had, before 1996, very strict firearm laws. It went bad in Tasmania, very bad, but every state had the capacity then to do what they thought they needed to do.
730's been told that gun owners using more powerful guns in the heavily restricted firearms categories C and D are switching to the Adler, which sits in the less restricted category A.
Would you choose this shotgun if you're a professional shooter or a farmer?
A lot of the professional shooters C and D class that I work with who run, say, a pump-action C-class shotgun, they're actually converting to these as a category A because they can have more shots. So if they're culling from helicopters or chasing down pigs and dogs, it makes it easier for them to get repeated shots.
The gun is set to cause controversy for months yet, with concerns the importation ban due to expire in August will lapse before the government has made a final decision about what to do with the Adler.